Perry, OK, prediction quickly.
1-0 to Arsenal's got a very, very good ring about it.
As ever. Well, we asked you to get in touch with your predictions of who will win in Budapest tomorrow. It's good evening to you. Welcome to our Champions League final preview special. Darmesh will be live throughout the hour in Budapest. As you can see, joining me in the studio, someone who knows what it takes to win titles with Arsenal in dramatic style as well, Perry Groves. We want you to say who you think will win. Is it Arsenal destiny or PSG dynasty? Scan to vote on the app or website. Coming up over the next 60 minutes for you, Mikel Arteta has received a huge fitness boost with Jurrien Timber available to start, but there is plenty of other selection issues. We'll take a look at the big calls. And we have an exclusive interview with Ashley Cole, who was part of that Arsenal final heartbreak 20 years ago. He believes they had the chance to put it right this time.
It hurt, but they're here again now, 20 odd years down the line, so another opportunity to bring some top silverware home again.
And Perry will give us his 5 keys to victory for Arsenal, and what special treatment would he suggest for PSG's playmaker, Vitinha?
Yes, welcome back to Budapest. Look, the sun is setting over the Puskás Arena, and in the last 2 hours or so, Mikel Arteta revealed some news that will please every single Arsenal fan following this game tomorrow. I've been at numerous press conferences throughout this season, and normally the first question is always about the team news and the number of injuries that Arsenal have suffered throughout this season. Tonight, it looks like really, really good news, because the one big doubt that has been hanging over Arsenal over the past 2 months or so has been Jurrien Timber. He has not played a minute for Arsenal for over 2 months, but Mikel Arteta said today Jurrien Timber is fit and he is available for the Champions League final against PSG tomorrow night. And furthermore, he is ready to start against PSG tomorrow night. Whether he does or not, we'll have to wait and see when Mikel Arteta announces that team, simply because of the match fitness that Jurrien Timber will not have had in the past 2 months or so. But look, it's been an absolutely crazy day today. Less than 24 hours to go until the match kicks off. There's been media activity throughout the day, as is the norm ahead of a Champions League final on match day -1, is what they call it. We've heard from Luis Enrique, the head coach from PSG. We've heard from Marquinhos and Ousmane Dembele. And, of course, we've heard from Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka and the Arsenal manager, Mikel Arteta. I've also been around the Emirates in the last week since they've won that first Premier League title in 22 years. And every single Arsenal fan I seem to have spoken to, they said we'd rather win the league, and the Champions League, well, that's just a nice little bonus. Even the fans I spoke to today in Hope Square, where the Fans Festival is, they are almost eking towards that train of thought, but you just get the impression now that they are getting greedy. That is certainly the sentiment of the Arsenal manager when he was asked, well, you've won the league, first time in 22 years, job done. Champions League's a free hit, isn't it? Not a bit of it.
Well, I think it's the opportunity to own the moment, because, as you said, it's the second time in our history that we are here, and we have the opportunity tomorrow to write a new chapter in the history of this football club. And in order to do that, we have to play tomorrow with such a clarity, a lot of courage, and a relentless desire to win. If we have those 3 aspects, I'm sure that we're going to be close to win. We have one, and we won the second one. And that's all we've been talking about. There has to be a platform to reach bigger destinations and to aim for more, and the TP is capable, because he's shown it in the last 2 seasons, the way of 3 in this competition, what we've done this season in the competition, and I want the players to be so confident that we're going to go and do it. Well, they are defending the trophy, so they were the last ones that earned the right to leave that trophy, and they are actually the champions, and we are here to take that away from them.
Yeah, those are the thoughts of Mikel Arteta when he was speaking earlier on this evening, simply saying that the ambition has actually grown since they've won that Premier League title. In fact, he was actually asked the question about his players with all of the noise and the narrative around Arsenal since they've won the league and whether the Champions League would be a bonus. He says when he was asked when he looks into the players' eyes, what does he see? He said they want more. So we asked the players themselves. I mentioned Martin Odegaard, the captain, and Bukayo Saka addressed the media earlier on, and they were asked the question after winning the title, what it would mean to create history, to turn an extraordinary season into an historic one by winning the Champions League for the very first time.
We all know where my journey started, 7, 8-year-old at Haylen Road, and this was a long way away, trying to win the Premier League, trying to win the Champions League with Arsenal, and it feels like this last week, you know, it's all kind of become a reality. And tomorrow, yeah, I'm very excited at the opportunity to win another trophy here. And yeah, just create that history for the club that I love.
I've been dreaming about winning these trophies, you know, since I grew up playing football. And yeah, when I started playing football with my friends, you know, in the little pitch next to my house, I was dreaming of this moment, you know, to win trophies, play this final, and of course win it. So that dream has been the, you know, the whole life, and of course now the last few weeks a little bit more.
Yeah, so Arsenal most definitely ready for this Champions League final. And speaking to all the fans, since they've won the league, the confidence amongst the fans has grown. They really do believe that this is destiny for Arsenal. They really do believe that they can win the Champions League for the very first time. I just wonder, amid all of the euphoria of winning that Premier League title, whether they've just forgotten how good Paris Saint-Germain are. Remember, they are the holders. They thrashed Inter Milan in Munich in last season's Champions League final by 5-0. We spoke about the fitness boost that Arsenal have received with Jurrien Timber returning to the squad and ready to start. Well, there's some pretty good news if you're a Paris Saint-Germain fan as well. You'll remember that Ousmane Dembélé, the Ballon d'Or winner, hadn't played since the final game of the season at Paris FC. He'd rested for 14 days. He said he had a calf issue, but when he noticed that there was a bit of a niggle, he said, I came off, but I never had any doubts about playing in the final. In fact, he was one of the players that PSG put forward in front of the media, and he said, 100% I am ready to play, 100% I am ready to start. There were other issues in that PSG team as well, not least in the full-back positions. Achraf Hakimi has not played for PSG since the first leg of the semi-final against Bayern Munich when he picked up a thigh injury. And add to that, Nuno Mendes. He hasn't played since the second leg against Bayern Munich. He actually picked up a thigh injury in the first leg and then aggravated it in the second leg. However, when I asked Luis Enrique whether they would be fit, he said both players are available and okay to play in this Champions League final. I then put it to the Paris Saint-Germain head coach. I said, listen, the motivation that you had last season was absolutely extraordinary because you had the opportunity to create history, to win the Champions League for the first time in your club's history. Now he faces an opponent that has the same emotion that he had last season. So I put it to him, with Arsenal trying to win that Champions League for the first time in their history, how powerfully motivating that would be for them. This was his response.
You know how powerful it is try to win the second Champions League in a row? It's bigger. So we are in advance. It was in the plan. Maybe not faster than we achieved it, but I think we deserve to win the last Champions League. We were, for me, the best or the better team. And yeah, it's more easy when you have the possibilities that we have as a coach and the facilities that the club and, of course, the level of the players that I have to achieve those goals. And in this moment, we are thinking about the future. The future is winning tomorrow another important trophy, and that's the goal.
Yeah, those are the thoughts of the Paris Saint-Germain head coach Luis Enrique. Plenty more to come here from Budapest, including an interview with Ashley Cole, who was part of the team the last time Arsenal were in a Champions League final, way back in 2006, Teddy.
Dharmesh, thank you very much for now. OK, let's get into this with Perry Groves then. Let's talk mentality, Perry. How important is it, the mentality going into this, and what is that mentality? Is it the free hit? Arteta denied that. Or is there a weight of history upon Arsenal because this is something they've never won before?
I think it's a chilled mentality because in the Premier League you could tell there was an anxiety, especially go back to the Bournemouth game where every player was nervous and Bournemouth played really well. And that nervousness and anxiety, that can tire you because you tense up.
Feel it in the legs.
Absolutely. So what it is now is every player gets nerves. I don't believe any player that says they don't get nerves in their stomach because if you don't get nerves, it means you don't care. But the way it's changed now for the Arsenal players is you can have nervous anxiety. Now they've got nervous excitement. There's a complete difference because they will relax. The pressure is eased. You know, they can't be levelled at them at the bottlers anymore if they come in second 3 times on the trot. And now they've won the Premier League, I think it will be a massive lift for them playing tomorrow, obviously in the Champions League final, because they'll just feel a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more sure of themselves. And they'll enjoy the 10 days from when, obviously, Bournemouth drew against Man City. That all that anxiety goes. And they can actually live in the moment and enjoy those 10 days coming up to the final.
You thought the partying was good, didn't you, quickly?
Yes, absolutely, because it's all about team spirit and bonding. Obviously, they're together and they earned the right to go out and party. You know, if you win the Premier League, first time in 22 years, and there's all Arsenal fans, like me included, desperation. You know, and you get desperation and you get a lot of stick from opposition fans and certain parts of the media that you're bottling it, you ain't got enough in your locker to win it. Then you win it, then you can have a wry smile, smug on your face, go, yeah, right, we're OK. And be careful because they could go on a run. Do you know what I mean? Because football's about dynasties. And they will want to create a dynasty.
We'll talk more about that ahead of next season, I'm sure. Let's talk about the Champions League, though. You know, as an Arsenal man, that it's always leveraged against you. Manchester City fans, Manchester United fans, Liverpool fans, Aston Villa fans. You've not won the Champions League. Are they the biggest club to have never won it?
You'd say so. We're definitely the club that's placed the most games in the European Cup and in Champions League without winning. I think it's 225. So I might get a tattoo tomorrow with 226 on it, obviously, if we win it. But it's a fair sort of criticism because a club as big as Arsenal, you'd expect them to win maybe like 2 or 3, especially Arsene Wenger's reign. You know, we had Invincibles, couldn't quite do it in 2006. So it's not a free hit, but the Arsenal fans going over to Budapest, it'll be like a joint stag and hen do. Do you know what I mean? Because they will be looking forward to it and they will be enjoying it and embracing it, and so will the Arsenal players. You know, so. I would say probably Arsenal are the biggest club never to have won the Champions League or old European
Maybe
Cup.
Atletico Madrid second was the kind of thought we had in the office, wasn't it? It was possibly...
The semi-final was the 2 teams that played the most games in the competition without winning it.
Absolutely. Perry, you know what it's like to end a long wait without a title for Arsenal. The 71 double boys, I guess, were hanging over your sort of shoulders for a bit. You got past that in winning the title in '89 in those epic circumstances at Anfield. Immortality, I suppose, beckons for this group. Greatest ever Arsenal team on paper if they achieve this. Do you believe they can do it? Do you believe that they believe they can do it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if there's one team in Europe that PSG wouldn't want to face, it would be Arsenal because of the defensive strength. That it's not going to be a basketball game like we saw against Bayern Munich. You know, you attack, we attack in the first leg. That ain't going to be like that. And they'll know that not only are Arsenal very good defensively, but it's the physicality. And I want Arsenal to be brave, you know what I mean, and impose themselves on PSG. And these are now, the word I said 8 games ago, that they were 8 games from being the Immortals. They're 8 games away from being the greatest team that Arsenal have ever had. In my eyes, there's no argument in that, because if you win the Premier League and Champions League the same season, that's it.
And you expect to go after PSG? You want them to be on the front foot?
Yes, I think Arteta might surprise a few because when we played up at the Etihad against Man City, we actually went for it and a game could have gone either way at 1-1. You know, Eze's inside the post, Havertz had a great chance. I think the players took a lot of confidence in that, where they thought, well, it was the Declan Rice, it's not done. I think they, in the dressing room afterwards, they'd have been devastated about losing, but I think they'd have got on the coach and thought, actually, we've just gone into one of the best teams in the country in their backyard and we've taken the game to them. So I think, it could be a surprise tomorrow.
Yeah, back to our Champions League final preview with Perry Groves. Now, Perry, Kvaratskhelia, PSG, have a winger, I guess you could say top of his game, but top of the world game. Unreal player, isn't he, to watch? But Mikel Arteta says Timber is fit to start. I suppose the question is, after 70 days out, should he, and what would you do if you don't go with Timber?
First thing is, I'm glad you said his name and I didn't have to.
Said it quickly.
Exactly, yeah. I know Arteta in his press conference, he said that he's available to start. And Arteta plays games with the media sometimes.
Is that a word game, is it?
He sends players out, didn't they, in the warm-up, when the press are there, because it looks like they're fit, or he won't send a player out, it looks like not fit. If Timber had played maybe 45 minutes against Palace, then I'd chuck him in without a shadow of a doubt, because he's one of the best right-backs in the world. It's a big call for someone not to have played any match minutes at all since March to go in the biggest game in Europe, So,
surely not Declan Rice, though. You can't put Rice back there, or would it have to be
I think
Mosquera?
he tried that once and then just thought, no, I'm not doing that again. And Zubimendi, obviously, he played it right back against Palace.
Yeah.
I think when he played Declan Rice against West Ham, everybody was like, heads exploded, and he thought, well, I tried that for 15 minutes. And he got away with it because he won the game 1-0. I personally, I'd put Mosquera there because he's very good 1v1. Like, Timber is probably the best right back in the world 1v1.
Yeah.
Mosquera is very, very good as well.
But they'll need doubling up whatever, won't they? Whoever's right back.
Yeah, but the thing is, Arsenal don't have any lazy players. If you're lazy, you don't get in the side. So Bukayo Saka will come back, obviously, to help out defensively. If you remember the Aston Villa game where Eze lost Matty Cash, where he ran behind him, he got the hook at half-time. And it wasn't because he was lazy, because he switched off. So they're the standards you're looking at. So every player, and what happens with Arsenal, when Arsenal go 4-4-2 without the ball, so the gaps between the back four, the midfield and the front two are always very, very narrow. So every player's going to have to do their job defensively, and Bukayo Saka, 100% he'll do it. Yeah,
fascinating to see if they can contain him. Now, I suppose Arsenal fans may be willing for Eze and Odegaard to start in the 11. I guess you could argue maybe Eze's highlight reel would be more eye-catching, but perhaps statistically Odegaard does pretty well when you look at chances created, etc. Who would you go with? Could you go with both?
Yeah, I think he'll go like a 4-2-3-1. I think Lewis Skelly will play, obviously, alongside Declan Rice. He said there, and then Su goes in the 10. You could put Odegaard in the 10, and then you could put Eze on the left-hand side instead of Trossard. But Arteta trusts Trossard, because Trossard gives you, again, that little bit of control. He calms the game down and he keeps possession. So if it was a choice, I'd actually go Odegaard in the 10, because I think he gives you that control as well, like confidence high, because he was brilliant against West Ham, and he sets the press off when they go in the 4-4-2 defensively. He leads that line. And
Eze off the bench offers that threat of being able to pick the game up quickly.
To be fair, it's not a bad choice to have, is it, really? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I think they're not subs anymore, are they? It's finishers or impactors, I think they are now, yeah. So, it's a brilliant choice to have.
Yeah, borrow the finishers from rugby union, don't we, that term? Now, in attack, I suppose the question is it a man who scored in the Champions League final for Chelsea, as they won it in 2021, or is it Gyökeres, who in a lot of eyes has redeemed himself over the course of the season? Perry, I know you're a fan of Gyökeres, but who do you go with here?
I've been banging Gyökeres' drum all season, because I think there was a bit of snobbery when he came to us, because he was a bustling sort of centre-forward. Ends up with 21 goals, top goal scorer, 14 in the Premier League, and his team win the Premier League. So he's been a brilliant signing. But I think to start, I think Kai Havertz gives you that little bit more control, where he backs in, he can engage like centre half. Obviously scored the important goal against Burnley, where he's a threat in the air. He scored a winning goal in the Champions League final, obviously for Chelsea. So see there, just rising really well in the middle of the 6-yard box, which is like a massive goal again, which eased all the pressure and tension and put the pressure back on Man City. So you've got a player who's got big game mentality.
And will he drop into midfield more than Gyökeres would?
Yeah, well, he'll link up more. Gyökeres is, I engage the two centre-halves, get it in the channels, I'll bustle and hustle and create a bit of havoc. But I say, Havertz, he makes things look quite easy. When he backs in and he holds it up and he chests it or whatever, and he's got that language style, that's not easy, when you're backing centre-halves. So, I would just go Havertz and then Gyökeres, again, impact coming off the bench in the last sort of 25 minutes.
Yeah, nice to have options. What a player Havertz is, can play in so many positions. Let's go back to Darmesh in Budapest. And now Darmesh, 2006, you'd imagine, lingers over the club's history, doesn't it? And I guess that will be in the thoughts and minds of a lot of Arsenal fans tonight, 20 years on.
Yeah, Teddy, you got to say, painful night, wasn't it, in 2006 in Paris when Arsenal faced Barcelona in the Champions League final. Jens Lehmann sent off early on. They even went into the lead through that Sol Campbell header, but then there was late hurt when Samuel Eto'o and Julian Belletti won it for Barcelona. I was in Hope Square in the Fans Festival earlier on this afternoon, and it's funny who you bump into. No less than one of the members of that 2006 Arsenal team. And Ashley Cole believes Arsenal can do what his team couldn't 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think that year for me was quite a difficult one. I had a lot of injuries, coming back from a broken ankle, and then had the opportunity to play in Paris, and probably didn't play to my top capability, and then you lose a game having maybe a few opportunities to win it, but it is what it is. I certainly learned a lot of lessons from that game, but being obviously a fan for a long time of Arsenal as a child, it hurt, but they're here again now, 20 odd years down the line, so another opportunity to bring some top silverware home again. I never foreseen the future going, they're not going to win anything for 20 years, and their first title in 22 years, and now again, as I mentioned, an opportunity to win, for me, one of the most prestigious trophies ever.
Is this a reward, you think, for how they looked at Mikel Arteta, says you're the project, and backed him?
Yeah, I really like it. I really like how he's been given time to analyse a group of players that he had when he first came into the job, knew what he needed to go to the next level, and year by year, he's added and formed and grown a group and an environment, and now the rewards are here. They've won the league, and now they're playing the Champions League final.
You, as a former fullback, know how important that role is, particularly in today's football as well. There seems to be a few issues on both teams ahead of tomorrow, with Hakimi and Nuno Mendes just coming back from injury. Arsenal's right-back area looks a bit light at the moment. They've got a choice to make between Nketiah and Calafiori maybe at left-back. How important do you think that position is going to be in tomorrow's game?
Yeah, well, I think when you look at the sides of the pitch and the danger both teams have, not having a strong fullback and someone that's feeling 100%, it could be an area where both teams look at and go, this is the weakness, let's get down the sides. But no, it's two top teams. Two teams where I think all season in their respected leagues have dominated in ways, and it'll be a kind of an interesting game to see. Is it cat and mouse? Do PSG come out and continue to do what they do? Is front foot, aggressive, look to score many goals, and Arsenal kind of what's worked in the Premier League, sit in a bit of a mid-block and defend and hope for a set play.
All the Arsenal fans I've spoken to, they've said after 22 long years after winning the Premier League, the confidence is growing that they can make history tomorrow. Are they underestimating maybe just a little bit? Because PSG are quite decent, aren't they?
No, they are. Listen, I think, they got asked a question. They need to win to understand what it takes to go to the next level. Now, they've done it. They've won the Premier League, and now they'll be full of confidence and belief that the group could create history. And with PSG is PSG. They won't really change their kind of style too much, but what they will do is kind of entertain you and suffocate you and have the ball and make you have to defend. So it'll be an intriguing game tactically on how the two managers set up.
Yeah, so those are the thoughts of Luis Enrique and Mikel Arteta, and one man who knows both men very, very well is Juan Castro. Juan, thanks so much for joining us on this special Champions League final preview show. I know you know Mikel Arteta very well. I know you know Luis Enrique very well. What makes these two guys so special, and what's been the view in Spain about the fact that there are no Spanish teams in the final, but two Spanish managers?
Yeah, amazing. Two Spanish coaches, and they know each other very well. It's true that when Mikel Arteta begins to play in Barcelona. Already Luis Enrique was an expert player, and it was like a father for Mikel Arteta. And also we asked Luis Enrique, and he called Mikel like Mikelito.
Okay.
So it was really funny, and I think they respect a lot each other, and we have already that seen in the press conference.
And with regard to Luis Enrique, has there been any element of surprise in Spain about how well he has done since he's become a manager and a head coach?
It's true that in the national team, Spanish national team, it was a bit disappointment because he created so much polemic, and in the World Cup he was not really, he has not really good results. But we know that Luis Enrique, alongside with Pep Guardiola, is one of the best in the world.
You mentioned those two managers. I'm guessing Mikel Arteta wants to be in that bracket as well. 6.5 years at Arsenal, and finally he has got his reward with that Premier League title. What's been the reaction there? And has there been almost like a realization, yes, we were expecting Mikel to do this?
Yes, I mean, Mikel, of course, is not so well known than Luis Enrique in a sense, because his career was in England. But yesterday, some people linked him to the Real Madrid for the next selection. You know that there is selection in Real Madrid, so maybe it's the first step, not now, but for the future, maybe in 10 years time, to come back to La Liga.
One of the questions that was asked in the news conference to Luis Enrique was about the differing styles between the two teams. It's almost been described as the immovable object that is Arsenal and the irresistible force that is PSG. He didn't really accept that. He said there are two ideals. They don't have to be different, but they are both good ideals. How do you see this matchup tomorrow night?
I think it will be a very controlled match. I think Mikel Arteta will try to control the match really in a perfect way. And I think if there is a lot of goals, maybe PSG is favourite. If there is 1-0 or penalties, or maybe Arsenal can have his hopes.
Right, we've had 6 finalists in these European competitions so far. 1 Spanish team. I don't think anyone in Spain was predicting Rayo Vallecano would be the only member from Spain being in these finals. But 4 Spanish managers. What is it about the likes of Unai Emery, Luis Enrique and Mikel Arteta that makes them so special when it comes to head coach and managing?
It's true, and 3 of them, they are from the País Basque, they are Basque. So it's impressive. I think that shows the quality of the Spanish managers worldwide. So I don't think it's a casualty. I don't think it's just for a chance. I think it's because there is a lot of quality and work behind.
Very, very finally and very quickly, prediction tomorrow?
I'm Mikel Arteta friend. I'm Mikel Arteta fan. So I hope Arsenal will win.
Juan Castro, Mikel Arteta's friend. Arsenal to win, he says. Teddy.
Darmesh and Juan, thank you very much. Great to get that insight on Mikel Arteta's friend there. Let's take a look, Perry, at Mikel Arteta's first team selection back in the tail end of 2019. 6.5 years, as Darmesh says, he's been in the job. Not a bad team, but does this chronicle and underscore the work that needed to be done?
Yeah, I think he looked at it. Obviously, Bukayo playing left back is one that stands out. You had Ozil, who had 1 good game every 20, who was not consistent enough. Granit Xhaka, who went on to have his last season, was brilliant. But I think it was not just the players we see there. You got Aubameyang up front, and obviously Lacazette. Aubameyang is the big one because of Arteta doesn't have any big-time Charlies. He knew that the culture had to change, and there was a moment where basically Arteta said it's me or Aubameyang, and quite rightly the owners went with Mikel Arteta, and then that changed the culture completely.
Yeah, he won the FA Cup as well, incredibly, in Arteta's first season, so it's a big call. Now, his first Champions League game in charge 3 years ago. And, Perry, is it fair to say that the spine of the title-winning team is all very much in place there?
Yeah, I think, you see, with Saliba and Gabriel, very, very physical. Obviously, Ben White, who came as a centre-half, playing at right-back. Zinchenko at left-back was brought in with Gabriel Jesus for a winning mentality, not just on a match day, but what you do in the training ground and how you train and how you conduct yourself. And the big one there is obviously Declan Rice. No one says £105 million Declan Rice anymore because he's that good. And again, very humble fella off the pitch, and that is what this Arsenal team was all about. You can be a superstar on it, but off it, you know better than everybody else, and they're just normal, humble young men, which is, as a Gooner, I'm proud to say that. And
interesting, the habits of playing left midfield there as well. Now, Perry, you picked out some key moments from Arteta's reign over the 6.5 years, some big decisions that have gone his way. Talk us through these pictures as we go through them.
Well, I think it was this is against Norwich, where it comes off the post. Aubameyang, I think he scores from about 6 inches, but the 3 games before that, we'd lost the 3, hadn't scored a goal. It was probably 50%. Arteta was bang under pressure because over 50% of the Arsenal fans actually wanted him gone. And I mentioned obviously about Aubameyang. He obviously helped save Mikel Arteta's job, but then you see the ruthless side of Mikel Arteta actually saying, you're not going to be a part of my future.
And then we go to this. This is the goalkeeper choice.
Yeah, so Aaron Ramsdale's massive fan favourite, a top goalkeeper. But then obviously David Raya comes in and everybody's like, goalkeeper's not a priority. And when David Raya first came in, he was really nervous. You could tell, I think his first game was at Everton away, and Ramsdale hadn't made a mistake. And he was nervous for the first 3 or 4 games because he got how massive Arsenal is. And he's come in now, and he would, whatever way you go, you'd say he was in the top 3 goalkeepers. And see his professionalism, he's actually got his gloves on because he lifts the trophy. Exactly. Well, here, obviously, I'm a Gooner, but he gets away with one a little bit because as he... that's Gabriel scoring from obviously a corner at set piece
against Newcastle United, and that is
in the 95th minute where we're 1-0 down, and then obviously winning that game obviously gives the players big belief. You see Declan Rice obviously up at Man City, I said before about obviously getting beat and him saying it's not done, and you see disappointment on his face, and then Arsenal kicked on from there. And then we see, obviously, talk about how brilliant David Raya is, he actually gets away with one because obviously Callum Wilson smashes it in.
You think he got away with one? It should have been?
Well, I think there was loads of fouls, like, in and around, like, David Raya, but in isolation, as you can tell, it is a foul because his arms gets clenched and he can't actually go and try and play the ball. So, in seasons, you get sliding doors moments. And we've got... Chris Kavanagh there, obviously, saying there's going to be a review, and every Arsenal fan, I was at the London Stadium, was like, oh my God, it's going to be overturned. So maybe Chris Kavanagh and Darren England might get themselves a statue outside the Emirates.
In 24 hours' time, we will know who the champions of Europe are 2026. Will it be PSG or will it be, for the first time in their history, Arsenal? Paris Saint-Germain will boast a number of match winners in their team. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Doué, to name but 3. But Arsenal have got a couple of their own as well.
We know the history of the club, and we know that tomorrow we can write history as players and winning it for the first time. So that already for us is a lot of motivation, I'd say.
I've been dreaming about winning these trophies, since I grew up playing football. And when I started playing football with my friends, in the little pitch next to my house, I was dreaming of this moment, to win trophies.
So we all know where my journey started. 7, 8-year-old at Haylen Road, and this was a long way away. Trying to win the Premier League, trying to win the Champions League with Arsenal, and it feels like this last week, it's all kind of become a reality.
Oh, for sure, it's something special that we can achieve that has not been done before, and as you say, it was 22 years since we last won the Premier League, and now finally we did it. So we want to make even more history, and when you get the taste of winning and lifting a trophy, you know how nice it feels.
Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka, Mikel Arteta has 2 individual match winners, but Teddy, Perry, it's going to take much more than individual brilliance, isn't it? A game plan is going to be required, and a really good one from Mikel Arteta.
Funny you say that, Dharmesh, because just right on cue, Perry Groves has a 5-point game plan for victory for Arsenal. What a coincidence that is, Perry. Talk us through it.
Yeah, well, don't follow Dembele. Obviously, Dembele will play as the sort of floating 9 where he goes deep. So I don't want Saliba and Gabriel following him in the semi-final last season. We had Kivior and Saliba following him in, and he left a massive gap in the middle. And that gives Kvaratskhelia, or it's Doué or Bacola, space to play. And so I want the back four to stay together. Midfield mobility, I think he'll play Lewis Skelly in there because he'll give you legs and he'll give you a bit of control as well. When the ball's coming in, he's great at getting on the half-turn. Target Vitinha, he's like the shepherd, where whoever plays in midfield alongside him, they're the sheepdogs. He's got the whistle and he tells them where to go, what to do. I think he's played 227 line-breaking passes in the Champions League this season.
Wow.
I think nearest it was 44 less than him. So if you stop him from playing, then it's either Odegaard or Declan Rice. Just go and sit by him and stop him.
You wouldn't allocate one player then, you just do it whoever's closest.
Nearest, exactly, yeah. And I'd like it if it was in the 10 maybe, because we go 4-4-2, but then Odegaard can drop a bit deeper and stop him from playing. Be brave when pressing. I mentioned the Man City game at the Etihad. It surprised a lot of people that we went and pressed. Havertz obviously got the goal when he blocked Donnarumma trying to clear it. So, yeah, and then what you've got to do is it gives you a bit of relief as well. If you press high up and you do win it, then your back four can stay in a good shape and it can calm them down a bit.
Would PSG not be necessarily used to that from particularly Ligue 1?
I think in Ligue 1, obviously, the quality of teams that they play are nowhere near the quality that what Arsenal are. And it would surprise... And the physicality when you're pressing as well. You know, Arsenal are very physical when they go and press. So that could surprise them. And try and make it like a Premier League pace game.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be, a bit of cat and mouse, but you want to test PSG, like, defensively. And obviously, everybody knows set-piece FC, like the threat that Arsenal are. And you know what? It's one of these things. You are allowed to score goals from corners and set pieces. That's the point.
Well, how important they test the officials early to see what's allowed and what's not as well? Is that part of it?
Yeah, I think PSG aren't as strong as what they were when they won it last season because Donnarumma is gone and Safonov is in goal. And Safonov isn't... Donnarumma wasn't great at set pieces and corners.
Yeah.
And I don't think Safonov's either. So what Arsenal do really well is when they put the nuisance around the goalkeeper, they just hover around him without actually engaging the goalkeeper and fouling him. But you said there, you got to see and test the officials and just see what you can get away with.
Absolutely. You think is it a case of all or nothing? You have to go in front, or do you think they can get into a bit of a basketball match with them?
Yeah, I don't think this will be a basketball match. I think obviously the first goal is like vitally important because if Arsenal go 1-0 up, then they've got something to hang on to. But I think because we've won the Premier League, even if you go 1-0 down, I think there'll still be a little bit of calm and it won't be that nervousness and that anxiousness where you think, oh, the game's done and dusted. So as the players, I think the players, you've got to embrace it. We talk about being the immortals. This is where the players want to be in their careers. This is exactly where they want to be. These are exactly the games they want to play. From when Bukayo Saka coming through the academy, Declan Rice get released, and then obviously proving that he was a really good player and end up at West Ham. So, yeah, this is the game that they want to be in. You
used the word brave then. Can I just ask about the pressing? Are you then saying be brave in situations one-on-one, potentially with Kvaratskhelia, with Desiree Doué, players like that with Dembele? Yeah, I think what you'll see is if Mosquera plays on the right-hand side, I think Calafiori play on the left. When they're getting the ball to feet, I think you'll see Arsenal going very, very tight. But what they want to do is got to be good communication because they want to move you. As you said, it's Kvaratskhelia, obviously on their left-hand side, and or if it's Barcola or Doué. So you've got to make sure that your communication is good when you're passing them on.
OK, of course, Arsenal are involved in a Champions League final tomorrow when they take on PSG in Budapest. Delighted to say we can speak now to a title-winning goalkeeper at Arsenal from back in the day, Safe Hands himself, Mr. David Seaman. Good to see you, Mr. Seaman. First of all, I tell you what, we've got to start with the big news that we heard in the press conference earlier from Mikel Arteta. Jurrien Timber is fit and he's fit to start. So, would you start him at right back?
The only problem is he's playing against Kvaratskhelia, who is a fantastic player. And that being your first game back could be a bit of a test. So, yeah, I would be very cautious of that. I'm sure that Jurrien he's tried his best to get back for this game because this is a massive game for the club. But I would think it's a little bit of a risk, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it would be, because he hasn't played since mid-March, but I think everyone agrees he would be the best option if he is fully fit. In terms of the game itself, a lot of people would say they think PSG are overwhelming favourites. Do you see it that way, or do you think it's 50-50?
No, for me it's 50-50 because, if we do what we're good at, which is defending, Obviously they're known for attacking, but we know that they concede goals. We saw that against Bayern. They do concede goals. So, yeah, for me, it's Arsenal defend as a team, and then hopefully do them on a set piece again.
Well, that brings me to my next question, really. What kind of game are you expecting? Are you expecting to be quite a tight game, or could PSG make it very open?
No, I'm sure PSG will try and make it open, but it's down to Arsenal to make sure that it's tight. Because if you try and go toe-to-toe with PSG, then that's a risk. Because they're so good at it, they're so fast on the counter. Our game is building from the back. And like I say, with the set piece history that we've got, how good we are at that, then you've got to play to your strengths, and it's about doing that, and especially for Arsenal, play to your strengths, which is defending, set pieces, or nick a goal, and that famous scoreline, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Hopefully that is the scoreline.
I'll do well to keep PSG out, but you never know. This defence certainly is capable of it, isn't it? Do you think that the pressure is off a little bit now because the Premier League title is in the bag, the first one in 22 years? Is this a little bit of a free hit?
The pressure's off a little bit. It's not a free hit. It's a Champions League Cup final. So, I never got anywhere near one of those. And the club have only been there once. This is a chance of the club creating history. So it's as much as people think it's a free hit, Arsenal would be more confident and there'd be less pressure, because I wouldn't have liked to have gone into this game thinking that this was our last chance of the quadruple that we were going for. But now we've got the Premier League under our belts. This gives us a chance to go out there and really express ourselves and possibly be the best season Arsenal have ever had.
Another big decision for Mikel Arteta is who to start up top. Now, I want you to put yourself in Mikel's shoes. Would you start Kai Havertz or Victor Gyökeres in this massive game?
It's a tough choice, if I'm honest, because, they've both been playing well. But I think, when, was it Burnley, I think Kai started and then Victor came on and it was really effective. And I think he'll probably stick with that combination where Kai starts. And then hopefully, if he needs to bring Victor on, he can have an effect coming on as a sub, But yeah, it's a nice choice to have, because they're two great players now, the two quality players that are on form.
And if Arsenal do win tomorrow, lift the trophy, does this team supersede the Invincibles? Are they the most successful, the best Arsenal team ever?
Well, it will be the best Arsenal season ever, because obviously the club's never won the Champions League, and we talk about the Invincibles, and I call us the ones that were before that. We were the Incredibles, So it's going to be fascinating, and if they do, then we can start talking of those sort of terms. But the club's never won the Champions League, and it's a chance of the club creating history, and not just the club but the players.
And you're going to be out there, aren't you? You're going to be getting your private jet and going out there tomorrow?
Not private, yeah, right. I am going out there. I'm just at Soccer Aid right now, and I've just been training with the lads, and getting them ready. And I've had to make my excuses and tell them I've got a little game to go and see. So I'll see you Sunday, boys.
yeah, just a small one. Well, listen, you have a safe trip out there. Enjoy the game. Hopefully we get the right result.
Cheers, man. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, David.